Hello and welcome back to a new video here on this channel. My name is Cyan, I say stuff, and this is a bit of a different video than from what I normally do. This isn't like necessarily theory crafting and stuff, but the new episode of the Amazing Digital Circus dropped yesterday evening for myself and 2 days ago for you guys, because you're getting the video tomorrow. There was going to be another video tomorrow, but since this happened and I just need somewhere to talk about it, you're getting that video next week, since I'm going to be on vacation next week, so you get a video for sure, because I'm a bit behind my planning. But scratch that. Nothing of that matters right now because stuff happened. And not like little stuff where you're like, oh, okay, happens. No, big, gigantic stuff where I don't even know. If you have not seen the episode 8 of the Amazing Digital Circus yet, this video has a lot of spoilers in it, so I would recommend watching the episode before you continue with the video. Giving you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. You back? Great. Okay, so let's get into this because, oh my god. I recorded my reaction and also some of the stuff that I talked about afterwards, so you're getting snippets of that and then kind of snippets of me talking about it. Like I said, this isn't necessarily theory crafting, it's more like talking about it, just throwing random shit out there because I can, and just kind of seeing if anything I say will be correct in the end, which I don't know, I don't think, but you know. My voice is a bit strained since I'm sick. I also was sick yesterday, so the reaction was also a bit sick, but we don't talk about that. Okay, so let's get into it. The main thing I want to focus on in this video is the code that Kinger types in. I am very sure that at this point there is some file out there where the actual entire code is there, but since I know a little bit of coding myself, even though my coding professor is not good at all, I knew a fair share of coding and how it kind of works and stuff, so I want to give this a try. I wrote down the entire code from yesterday that Kinger typed, or at least all the stuff that I could make out, because in the end stuff glitches out, some of the words are corrupting, and the images from Kane appear on the screen, like here. So I did my best. It's a Word document. I might also put it into the description so you could have a look at it, but there's probably a better version out there somewhere. Here it is! Yay! Okay, so this is where the screen cuts away after this, so this is kind of the first part. So pretty simple. I'm gonna try to break the code down. Like I said, I've had coding for 2 years in school and my teacher sucks, and I'm maybe not the best at it, but I'm getting there. So bear with me, and I'm super sorry if I don't get everything correctly. The first interesting thing is the date being the 30th of October 1996. It is not 1996 when the show takes place. In fact, it was confirmed in a live stream from Gooseworks, the creator of the show, that the show itself takes place in 2017. But since Pomni kind of gets the computer from the abandoned building with kind of an outdated software and stuff, I'm gonna guess that this is the date, or about the date, where the company was abandoned, CNA was abandoned, and probably around the time, we'll get to that later again, where Kinger joined the circus. So Kinger has been in the circus for 20 years, which is mind-blowing. But like I said, we'll get into that later a bit more, because that is not where it ends. Not even close to where it ends. But we're gonna go through it a little bit chronological. The Circus Digital is the host, the login is Kinger, and the password is Queenie123. Now this is something that gets repeated over and over and over again in the code, and you'll see it, that numbers such as 123, 12345, 5678, numbers get repeated in chronological order. They get named after each other, like in the correct order, I guess, when you're counting upwards, which is pretty interesting and kind of simulates, in my opinion, how simple this code is, because it kind of is. And you can see that Kane partially wrote this code, or helped write the code, but we'll get to that later. This one is where it cuts off. I'm gonna guess that Kinger was trying to give himself administrative privileges. We don't know for sure, because afterwards the screen cuts and we don't see it again, but it's what I would guess to actually change things about the code. Also, pause right quick, how cool was Kinger in this episode? Oh my god, new favorite character unlocked. Seriously, saying Kinger is so cool, and I feel so sorry for him because of something that we'll get to again later in a bit. So here I think he's just kind of looking for the AI location. I'm a bit unsure about the route. I don't really know much about that. Interesting though are the words consciousness research and brain scan. Also ignore that like half of this is red or blue because it's code and it's word, and I could I do not care enough to go through every single word and be like, oh, you can ignore that it's spelled wrong. Because no, I don't have time for that. I did that for the King at Circus and that's it. Okay, so agent consciousness research, which is really interesting because as Kinger said, CNA specialized in AI, creating Kane. But consciousness research as well as brain scan is something that seems to have been done by Kane, not by the company itself. And then we see Kinger securing it, kind of making a small backup, I think, because if this got lost, they'd be pretty, pardon my language, fucked. Something we'll get to after we've gone through the code, which kind of plays into this as well. Now something really interesting comes up because we go through some routes again, kind of trying to back up more things, I think. But the interesting thing is that it is always October 15th. You get to know about the paraphernalia engine. I'll get back to that again later. And which seems to be something interesting because Kinger tries it out later as a password, which is very interesting. We'll get back to that. And then we can only assume that these are the dates when they entered the circus. Guys, we've got a date for when Scratch, and probably with him Kinger and Queenie and all of the first bunch, which surprisingly enough was 7 characters and not 6, how everyone kind of suspected, entered back in 1999, meaning they haven't been in there as long as I thought they were, at least not if they all came there at the same time. But that is still 18 years that Kinger has spent in the circus, which I don't think time works there how it does here, but oh my god. And then we can see Bragatha approximately joining in 2008, also on October 15th, which is interesting, exactly 9 years after the first group joined, meaning Kinger was in the circus for 9 years with only this first group of characters. Again, boom. I started typing this out. Also, while I was watching the video, I was going insane, guys. I was going literally insane. Because what do you mean? And then I can only assume that the ... is kind of the other characters joining, which I would have loved to see, but fair that they're hiding it. And then Wacky Watch, the word wacky comes a few more times up. I'm not really entirely sure what this means. I don't know. And then Bubble Chef, as in bubble. I'm gonna suspect, not entirely sure again. Then Kinger tries to stop Kane. There is a warning, and now here you can say that Kane has altered or maybe even entirely written parts of the code, because a code or someone that would code would usually not give whoops, wrong approach, they're back. It's just not something you do in coding language, from what I know. So Kinger tries something else. From what I can get from this, with bin, trying to put it in the bin. I don't know what I don't really know what half of this means, so I'm not going to touch much on that. Interesting though is that 1337 comes back up, which was up here, Kane. So I think this is probably just kind of him trying to do the same thing, stopping the process differently. Maybe. I don't know. This is too high code for me. Operation not permitted. He does not get clearance for it. Interesting again. 57 times. 57. I really want to know why 57. Tell me. Please. It's everywhere. And it says error protected by 57 times immersive AI defense. Kane has altered the code or partially created the code himself. Continuing on, he then tries to secure the core, Kane's core. He doesn't have permission because there is unfinished work detected, probably with him trying to stop the process or delete Kane. I'm not 100% sure what he's trying to do with this. Access is now restricted. He tries to secure the paraphernalia engine again, but he also doesn't have permission for that. From now on, some of the words are corrupted, glitched. There's gonna be in the end a bunch of Kanes on the screen, which is just really hard to look through, I can tell you that, but I kind of did what I could. So all of the green letters were altered to be symbols or something else, which is really interesting. Could be a code. I don't know anything about codes besides like the Caesar cipher or something, so I'm the wrong person to ask for that. But they could not inject torment because torment determined must be 100% accidental, which is interesting. Let's just say that. The screen cuts away again, and then next one we've got Mount saying only root can do that, and then hundreds of all-seeing eyes are watching. Kind of a reference to us as the viewers, but also a note from the PC, from the AI, kind of Kane. And then this you can see again. Now, what I think, this is the program, not entirely Kane, but the program responding. And these responses are all like kind of funny, kind of random, I guess. Like, gasp, a critical malfunction in my spectacular systems. That is Kane talking, 100%. But he doesn't own all of this code, and you'll see why later on. Then, because Kinga tried to mess with the code, emergency protocols are triggered. Destructive wacky time, meaning Kane, or his program, started to delete himself. His program was like, how about we self-destruct? We'll get to that. So they start, and this is the bar. I couldn't do it better in Word because Word is Word. But this is the bar where it's loaded. So it starts at 20%, we go to 40%, 50. Yeah, stuff happens down here. But, you know. So Kinga tries to stop, system control stop, wacky time lockout. And then on what grounds are your authority? Interesting. What I noticed in the code, not only will some things just be replaced with others, like some characters will be replaced with like kind of placeholder characters, there are some mistakes in this code. Defense is spelled with a C. Don't know what that means, but it is. Also, on what grounds are your authority? Is your authority, right? English is not my first language, so fuck do I know, but I think so. And green grounds. Weird green? Okay. And he tries to, again, target torment injection. Don't know what that does. And then security alert. And it's like, whoa, when did you make that? So this is where we kind of see that this is not only Kane talking, but also someone else, or the program itself, because this is not from Kane. This is. And you can clearly tell. And now the next sentence is interesting, because you can see, again, a lot of green letters. In a sentence that I've identified as, I must hand it to you, something. Your mind was always resourceful. Now I'm pretty sure it's an A and an N, and then what looked like a G could also be a C, as in Kane, but then Kane would have been misspelled again. I don't know. That name might be one of the real names. It might be. I don't know. Don't know what kind of name you want to put in there, because it seems like only 2 letters were blacked out. I don't know. That's what I'm relying on the rest of the fandom on. But I have recently seen a post where the weird sequence from Bubble where they come out on screen seems to be Morse code. I don't know if that's actually a thing. I haven't looked in it. I don't know Morse code that well. But it seems to be saying, or people are saying that it is saying, something along the lines of, to get out, you need to remember your name that you forgot. Something like that. I'm not entirely sure. And that is what I think is going to happen next episode. But we'll get back to that because I want to finish the code first, because stuff is getting interesting now. Because Kinger tries to do a security sweep, and then the YN is just asking if yes or no, and he usually responds with yes, sometimes with a no. We'll see it later. He's asked if he wants to abort the fallback procedure. Kinger responds yes. He needs administrator confirmation. So apparently him potentially trying to make himself an administrator did not work. So next he asks to try with a different code. He says yes, and he gets back to the paraphernalia. And paraphernalia, as far as I know and as far as Google helped me, are utensils, not kitchen utensils, utensils that are usually used in a magical or cultish kind of sense. Do with that whatever you want. I don't know. Kane can magically trap people's minds. We'll get back to that as well, because there was a lot of mind talk in this. And then we have Kane responding again. That is a wacky word, but wrong code. And now the system is selecting the safest option for stability. Cancel automatic selection. Kinger responds with yes. Which backup do you want? A, B, or C? Kinger responds with C. The system overwrites it, says nothing is selected. Interpreted as delete one. So could be everyone, delete someone. Don't really know. Probably not delete everyone. I think that things would not have ended the way that they did if this would have said that, but we don't know. Confirm deletion of current unstable, potentially entity, potentially AI, I don't know. Yes or no? Probably, because Kinger then responds with no. Negative response, inverting to selective per emergency protocols, secretive, something like that, I don't really know, where Kinger's response was taken and used as a yes, even though he had said no, which is interesting, because usually a program can just do that, but it's Kane, so who knows? Interesting even more. Delete this. I've counted the letters. motherfucker. And then Kane just kind of goes haywire. All the software does. Kinger again tries no. Ignored. Again, a program should not be able to do that. Proceed with the original. Delete process. I don't really know. Actually, you're confused. Let me help. Probably a dot, an exclamation mark. Want module to exist? Yes or no? He goes with yes. The system again goes with override inspection. Error falling back probably to default met. I don't know. I don't know. This is where it gets really holy. Kinger tries with a switcheroo, which that in the code, okay. Reality, which misspelled reality. I usually wouldn't think that, but there has been misspellings in here, so I don't really know what. Damien, target torment injection. Again, I don't understand why we're trying to target torment injection, but I don't know. I don't know. Then the system tries to fusion both program 1 and program B, and then it says, are you potentially ready to delete Kane, which Kinger responds to with yes, which is interesting because up until now it seems like he did not want that. And you can see in the video that he accidentally presses the delete button, but you can also see in the video that he swears after kind of noticing that everything is deleting, which Kinger has never done before, which is really funny to me. So this might be him trying to get around the program because the program has said, oh no, we ignore a no. We just go with yes instead, so it might be that. I don't know. He tries to abort the rollback GWVJ, I don't know, and tries again with his answer C, but the destructive wacky time lockout sequence loads completely. The deletion panel pops up per JI program, and Kane deletes himself. Kind of. It's complicated. That was the code! Yay! Woo! Interesting, isn't it? I like this a lot, to save put lots of stuff in here, and even with my limited knowledge of code, I knew some of this stuff. I also said this when I was first kind of revealed, oh god, he deleted Kane. Nothing else is gonna work. It doesn't necessarily mean that everything else disappears. Working though, I don't think it's gonna immediately disappear, but it's gonna corrupt, which might be even worse. It is also disappearing, but in first hand it is corrupting. Which, yes, I totally agree with that. Still, don't know entirely if that's how it works, but I think so. Just because the processor, I guess, I don't know if that's the correct English word, but only because the person or the program actually doing that is deleted stops existing, it doesn't mean that everything else just kind of stops existing. And now here's also where I want to get back to the neural scans that we had at the beginning, where I said we'll get back to that later, the consciousness research and the brain scan, because before Kinger even opens the AI file to type in the code and stuff, he stumbles upon a different folder by the name of neural scans. Neural as in brains. Brain scans. You can probably guess now what I suspect is in there. The code of the brains of the characters. Meaning Pomni, Kinger, Ragatha, Jax, Gangle, and Zubo. There is no 100% confirmation for this because he doesn't open it, at least not for us to see. So we won't know. This is also interesting because earlier Kane said that he created a body for the minds of the players, for their brains. You see where this is going, no? There is a theory, or there was a theory going around the internet, where this is just basically a copy of their consciousness uploaded and turned into code. There's a chance it's them entirely, but there is also another reason why I don't think that is. I'll get to that in a second. But that their consciousness is uploaded a code, so now they have a neuroscan. They have a scan of the brain, of the mind, that Kane gave a body to. While I like the idea of that also kind of scanning in their actual body so they don't decompose or anything, I do think it is more likely that it just creates a digital copy of it. So they think they are trapped in the circus, but the actual person just kind of put the headset on, was like, oh, nothing really happened, put the headset back off, and went on with their life without ever knowing that any of this has happened. I also think that because in this episode, we also see Ragatha join the circus for the very first time. And what she does is call out to other people, going like, guys, can you help me out here? Seemingly as if she wasn't alone when she put on the headset. Now, we don't know that. Of course we don't know that. And no one really immediately followed her into the circus as far as we're aware. But I would suggest that if she would have been with other people, there's no way this console would still exist. No way for all of the other characters, not only the main crew, but all the characters in between them that we know went into the circus after Ragatha, which is arguably a lot. So I just think it might create a copy. Now, one last thing that is also interesting about the code, that there is a second AI. Question mark, question mark, question mark. So we don't really know anything. It's just a bunch of random shapes and colors. So I have seen the theory that Jax is the second AI. I do not think so. First of all, I know Gooseworks said that Pomni and Jax would be the main characters. I don't think in this sense, especially because Jax is now realizing that all of this was real and that he did actual damage to the mind of a human being, even if they're all just cartoons currently.
Oh my god. This is real.
Just kind of figure it out in general, how he gets quiet, lets his mask slip more often. He becomes more human as he notices that this character he's built up for himself doesn't exist, but it is actually just him. And those other people are also actually living beings, which for him, a probably very young adult who entered the circus when he was still a child, is mind-blowing. I don't know what to say to that. I just don't think that he'd be an AI. It's far-fetched. I see where you're coming from. No, I don't like it. Something else that's really interesting about this episode regarding Jax is not only him kind of figuring out it is real, everything was real. No, it's his torture sequence. Why did I smile so much like that? What the fuck? Where there's a bunch of figures, 3 repeating ones to be precise, that are laughing at him and then skinning him alive. Interesting in this kind of scenario is that all of the torture scenes were kind of their worst nightmares, with Jax's and Gangle's actually being really similar from the whole setting, and then fucking truck hits Gangles. But both of them are being laughed at by masks and kind of beaten down. And that might also be the reason why Jax was so mean to Gangle the entire time, because he saw himself in her, hating that version of himself and beating that version down, which is a speculation, but I could definitely see that being the case. But like I said, another interesting thing about Jax's torture pod is that there's 3 repeating characters, or silhouettes. Very distinctable silhouettes though. Them being Ribbit, Kaufmo, and Pomni. Kind of showing that Jax has accepted Pomni as a friend, but also being afraid of her laughing at him, because he has already lost 2 friends. We don't really know everything that happened between them. I have a feeling we're gonna get there next episode. But I also saw someone say that his greatest fear in this moment was losing Pomni, and I don't entirely agree with that, because them skinning him alive kind of shows that he is afraid of being exposed. Being exposed for who he really is, and being hated for it by others. Being laughed at because of it by others. And I think that is what this is about, because the other ones you can kind of figure out, I guess, which, my god, these characters are traumatized. But okay, fair. And now we get to the part where things get interesting for the next episode, because I do not know if they will escape the circus. If they do, though, I am 99.999% sure they will need to bring Kane back for that. I do not think that without Kane that they can escape the circus. And also probably not without their names, which is a fair assumption, even if the Morse code isn't a thing. But there was a lot of focus on names in the last episode at the very ending, where Pomni said our names. So I think they're gonna have to figure the names out, and the only way I think that's gonna be possible is with Kane. Now today, Glitch already posted another teaser for episode 9, which only comes out in July or June, I don't know, long way away, which makes me really sad, but also really excited, where they showed the circus in ruins and the group kind of standing in the spotlight and Jack standing to the side. God, Glitch, please give him Gooseworks, give him a break, give him a break. He's realizing he's wanting to change. I think it's gonna be a lot, but obviously the last episode is gonna be about them escaping the circus. I've just realized something, because I was like, what else have I not talked about yet? At the beginning, the sequence with the 2 dots, one consuming the other, which I think the red one is Kane consuming the perfectly working blue one after he himself glitched out because of too much information. Because like he was kind of the prototype. That's how I see it. In the code, what I said earlier, it seemed like there was like the program itself and Kane speaking. What if one of them was the what if one of them was the actual program Forum, the working AI, and the other one was Cain, the corrupted, the broken AI. That is a good idea. But I think they will escape the circus. I think that is where it will end. Unless they want a second season, which is gonna kill me. The only way I accept a second season, if it is after they've escaped the circus, because I don't want to go through that again. Please. Thank you. Thank you. Please. 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 But yes, I do think they will escape the circus. I do also think that they will only escape the circus with Kane's help and probably their names. There is so much. There is so much. And like I said, this is not like really me theory crafting, kind of, but just like throwing facts out there. And I wanted to talk about the code because I thought the code was really cool. But yes, this is it. I hope you enjoyed the video. A bit of a different video. I did this without an actual script. I just kind of went with the code and then just kind of went from there. Yes. I hope you still liked it. Like I said, next week there is going to be another video. We're going to continue with the Minecraft hardcore project. I'm really excited about the video because I did something really cool. Yes. This is what I call home. Like I said, hope you enjoyed. If you want to see more of my stuff, maybe consider subscribing. There's not really a high chance that I will do a video like this again. I might, just to put it out there, but who knows. But still consider subscribing. If you want to click through my channel, maybe you'll find something you like. Like I said, I play lots of games, Minecraft and stuff. I also draw sometimes. We'll get there. We'll get there at some point, guys. We'll get there. If you like this kind of video format, let me know in the comments. Also, let me know if you agree with the theories, if you've got other theories. In general, if you're interested in the fandom at all, got some hot takes, maybe write them down in the comments, and maybe consider leaving a like on the video. It helps me out. It shows your support. Win-win in my opinion. But then I shall see you next time. Till then, see ya!